Hello and welcome back to Sacred Wellness. As always, it's Third Thursday with Keegan, who's joining me today, and it's always such a pleasure having her here to have us join the conversation. Today, we're stepping into a little bit something different about this conversation. And I want to say it's less about looking for these answers and more remembering the path that's within us. Somewhere along the way, many of us become so focused on achieving, producing, fixing, healing, becoming, all of these words that we've identified with. And we honestly have just forgotten how to simply be in this beautiful chaos that we call life. And sometimes the chaos is just that, it's chaos. And other times it's quiet time, and we sort of then internalize it onto ourselves, like, what is wrong with me? Why don't I have motivation? What's going on? Why aren't doors opening for me?
And why am I in this timeout?
Why am I in this timeout? And how do I get out of it? Because it's very uncomfortable for me here. So I think, along the way, we forget that life isn't about these big moments. It's really found in our everyday little mundane tasks that we do often. So Keegan, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to our Thursdays together and our deep conversations.
I love it. There's just certain people that you connect with in the world, and you are one of them, and I'm so grateful to have you.
Agreed. It gives me hope knowing that people like you breathe in the world.
Thank you. So today we are exploring why life feels messy, how to create magic in that mundane, and why intimacy sometimes may be the piece that is missing for many of us and the piece that we're searching for. And when we talk about intimacy, we're talking about intimacy within ourselves. So Keegan, I want to present something to you this morning, and I feel like a lot of people have been reaching out to me, and I've been feeling sort of the same way, is we are craving something right now. We're not craving more information. We're not craving another course, another thing to do. We're sort of craving that oneness, that intimacy within ourselves and that disconnection. So I want to know from you, why do you think so many people are feeling disconnected from their lives right now, even when everything feels fine on the surface, like everything outside looks really good, but within myself, I'm feeling, hey, something is really disconnected here. What do you think's going on?
I really think it is a disassociation from ourselves, and it's been happening for so long, like that disconnect between, what we feel and what is real, you know what I mean? Or what is happening, and how we have like given up control. And we've done it in so many places in our lives. And I feel like we get to this point where we're just like, hold on a second. What? Am I just like a character in this whole thing of life? Am I the front seat driver here? Am I just an extra? Like, what is happening? And you kind of become like conscious to the everyday. And I think the disassociation part is the problem, because so many things are uncomfortable. We've been made to disassociate from how we feel and sit in the discomfort. Or so many times we have wanted to maybe speak up and we didn't, or get out of a situation and we didn't, or put the phone down and we didn't, or write that letter and we didn't. It's like all of these moments, and then we just detach. And I think everybody is like seeking that part within them that is missing.
Yeah, and I just said
this to my husband. Missing.
I just said this to my husband the other day, because I'm like, well, maybe I should go back to school. Maybe I should get my master's. It was like one other thing to add on to my belt to feel better, or because I also have that disconnect. I premise on this show often that we are not perfect by any means. We are still in the midst of it, just like everybody else. And I think, I'm getting chills. What's really missing from our society is that beautiful mess, that piece that we don't talk about, right? That piece where I'm down in the shit and I'm like, what the fuck is going on with my life? And we don't talk about that enough. And I think that's what you and I have been moving towards. And I think we're inching towards there more and more every day.
It is. And we've been sold like down this road for a really long time that we can consume our way out of things, whether that's like distractions, going and purchasing things, going and doing things. And so many times we're doing this and we are not, aligned, or we're not conscious in it. And then even, these big purchases or these things we're accomplishing, or these experiences we're having, we're not fulfilled in it at all. We're like coming back like, what the hell did I do that for? That was pointless. And you're like, what the hell? This should not be like that. And you're so badly craving to feel your life, not just buy your way through it, or, the next one up, or, what can I get next? What can I listen to next? What knowledge can I gain next? What action can I take next? I think a lot of us are getting to this point of like, how can I feel this? Like, I really want to feel this. I want to feel this moment. I want to feel this experience. How do we get there?
Yeah, I think one is we have to disconnect from the thing that we love the most, which is electronics, technology. We need to be out there in the experience. And I myself am also guilty of this. With Facebook, I can find myself endlessly scrolling, especially if I wake up during the night and I'm like wide awake. Okay, what do I do at this time? I could be doing a lot better things than scrolling on social media. But I think once we can finally disconnect ourselves from those things, we'll be able to, because what will happen if I don't post, right? My thing is like with my business, what happens if I'm not out there promoting myself? Who's going to promote me? All these things that are in our logical mind that we've been told we need to do is in there. And then we have the piece of us. Like I always go back, there's so many things that are involved, and the conversation can go really deep into all of these things that surround us, like astrology and like when I was born, human design. There's all of these things we're always looking at. Well, I'm in this period of resting, or I'm in this period of creating. And so we're looking at all of these things, but still, when we tune into our body finally and understand that we don't need to be told, hey, you're in a period of rest. You already know you're in a period of rest, right? Your body's saying, slow the fuck down.
Exactly. I agree with you there, because your body actually definitely knows. I just think that we've been told so long not to listen to our bodies, or we've told ourselves for so long not to listen to the body, and you just can't do that anymore. And I want to touch on the thing that you were saying about the social media and like feeling like, oh my gosh, if I don't post today, or if I'm not on there, who's going to promote me and stuff. I think this is the shift that's also happening. I think people are like really wanting that authentic connection with something, and they're not finding it on social media anymore. They're no longer seeking out, they're more seeking out the little tribal kind of community, or somebody that they can actually talk to and connect with, so that they can have a verbal conversation about the experiences that they're having. Because I feel like so many people are turning on to their lives and they actually want to talk to people. So I feel like you having that, pull inside maybe is that, because you want to actually go out and connect with people. You want to feel them. You want people to feel you. You want to give that hug out of sincerity when someone is maybe talking about grief, or you want to give that high five, and you want to give those words of wisdom in that moment, in that intimate moment. Not, okay, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to get the reaction I want right now because it's microwave and I can have it now, even though the moment happened, months ago.
Yes. It is such a crazy world, because I think when you are, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, we are disconnected from ourselves, but so connected in to this world that we live in. And sometimes when I experience it, it's kind of hard to put into physical words, but I'm going to try. Sometimes when I experience it, it's almost like I'm outside of it, and I can look into it and I'm seeing like this little world go on around myself, right? And I can see it clearly. They're showing me that this is the act. This is the scene that's going on now, and how you are outside of it, you're separate from it, but you are also connected to it. And so it goes multi-layered. It's like we are fully and always connected to it, but we are separate from it. So it begs the question, how do we within ourselves find this deep, intimate space to also create in that space, look outside of it from observing it and understanding it. But then also having that piece of us that's still separate. I think a lot of people sort of blur those lines of what that means.
Do you mean like as a collective, like what it feels like as a collective, and then what it feels as an individual, and people are blurring the lines of just having the identity of the collective instead of the individual experience?
Yes, because many times, especially as empaths, we take on the energy of other people. And then
Yeah.
as the collective, sometimes I know I feel the energy heavy of the collective, of the place where I am or what I'm doing. And so sometimes it used to be a lot more so for me that I would blur the lines. Is that really me? I'd go into a place and I'd feel a certain way. Is that really me, or am I picking up on something? And I think, yes, we do. And we're able to observe that. I know I'm able to observe that now more so than long ago. But also then we have that piece of us that is also a part of that, right? That a piece of me
Yeah.
is in that. So I am experiencing that. I can't just observe it because I am experiencing it as a part of the collective. But then what piece of me is separate from that? And I think a lot of people struggle with that, coming to that center point of what that means for them. And that probably plays a lot into the intimacy of how connected we are to ourselves.
Exactly. And that comes down to what we talk about all the time as well, making magic in the mundane, because the more intimate you can get with yourself, the more imaginative you can be, the more imagination and diving deeper into your imagination and into your desires and into your thoughts and into your dreams and things like this, then you're creating from that source, and you are then seeing your life more as magic instead of just as the collective of what's being told to you. And you're actually creating the experience in a way that's new, which is your godlike center. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because, you and I've talked about this several times and on the show, is that, being a wife and a mother, things can get mundane. There are things that need to be done. We're not naive. We're not like, our house is not going to magically clean itself for us. So there are things that are that we consider mundane. But I think when we take ourselves out and it's sort of just like another task we're rushing through. Is that what you're trying to say? Like we're finding magic in those moments that feel mundane, but when we're not rushing through it, or we're being very present in what we're doing, it's creating more.
Or when we're able to laugh it off and add like that kid-like vibe to it, then we're transforming the moments that we even don't have control of. And I think that's the biggest part of understanding your will and understanding discernment and being able to bend your will and to use your will. It's having the ability to create that magic. Like, I'll give you an example. The other day, I'm doing laundry. I'm changing all the sheets in the house. I'm doing the mundane, my daily, my weekly chores that I do every day. Every week on the same day. How boring, right? But it's what works for me. But so the doors were all open and the windows were open because it was beautiful outside. I had a breeze, and I had like these 2 doors in my house to go outside, and I usually close the one so I can keep bugs and flies out, but I leave the other open so the dog can get in and out of the sun. So I'm in the back side of the house, like doing the beds and stuff. And I come out to the kitchen after like 45 minutes, and there are flies everywhere in the kitchen, those black annoying flies. So immediately I got angry, right? And I'm like, oh, now I have to stop what I'm doing to get all these flies out of the house. And then I had this moment where I was like, you know what? Because I had the towel and I was like trying to shoo them away. I had this moment and I was like, I feel like I'm Joan of Arc right now. And this is my sword, this towel, and I'm slaying some serious dragons. And then I started like talking shit to them, and I was hitting them. And before I knew it, they were like all out of the kitchen. And I like was laughing to myself. And then I felt like all of my chores went by super fast. And I was outside enjoying the day. And it just set this like playful vibe for the rest of the day. And then I was like playing with my imagination with Olivia and poking fun with her. And it just changed the whole vibe by putting myself in that childlike center. And to me, that is creating magic in the mundane. Like, that moment can be super boring, Or I can let loose and pretend I'm a child again and I'm slaying dragons. Like, who am I hurting? But I created such magic in my heart, stuff
You
like
know,
that.
that's a really good point, because think about it, how often we think, oh, that's just one more thing now I have to get done in my full day, and I'm already overwhelmed beyond belief, and I don't want to do this. And you're
These fucking
exactly right.
flies.
Like, these playing, I think we don't, especially as adults, and the older we get, I think probably the worse that it is we don't take enough time to be in those playful, cheerful moments. Like sometimes I'll just jump on my husband, I'll be like, hey, mega night, and he's like, what the hell?
Exactly.
But it's like it
Exactly.
breaks us out of that like monotony of the everyday. Like he's not expecting it, so it's like,
Exactly.
oh, what is she doing? She lost her
Or
mind.
like, you can it's summertime. You can go to the dollar store and pick up a bunch of water guns and put them in a basket outside the house and like mess with each other outside. And like there's so many stupid things we can do in the day to day that don't have to be these grandiose, like in your face, everyone needs to know kind of things. We can create these little magical moments that are such joy. And we need joy because joy is what creates the intimacy. It's what gets the guard down. It's what gets people connected. It's what gets you talking and laughing and feeling connected. And that is what we're missing so much. Because we're hearing all this stuff, we're consuming all of this stuff, but we're still not feeling anything.
Because all this information is out there, right? It's like, how do I decipher what's exactly for me? And because I'm so disconnected, I can't really feel that. And if I'm not a feeling person, I'm not going to feel it. I may just understand it, or I may get an intuitive hit about it, or I just may know it, right? There's always something within there, within our body, our physical body talking to us. And I think, I want to move into like healing and awakening, because I think a lot of people believe that transformation is supposed to be this beautiful experience, the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. And we've talked about this before too, is that what is such a painful process it is for the caterpillar to die, for the butterfly to be born. But I think if I look back at the moments that changed me the most, they weren't beautiful. They were confusing. They were painful. They were sometimes heart-wrenching. And they changed me so drastically. They were lonely. Like, how many times on the journey do you think people look at something they're going through in their life and they say, I feel so alone. Like, am I the only person who's experienced this?
Yeah. Or you start doubting yourself or self second guessing your worth, and really having to sit with yourself and look at and take responsibility for things. And that sucks. Like, healing and awakening is really taking responsibility and saying, I'm not going to be somebody that is just moved with everyone else. I'm going to create moments in my own life, and I'm going to create happiness and joy in my own life. And usually when that happens, you have to cut yourself off, or you have to change habits and patterns, that you lose people and things and places along the way because they're no longer in line for what you are bringing into your life as what you feel is joy, And so it's ugly and it's heart-wrenching, and taking responsibility and taking leadership in your life is hard. It's not easy. It's always having to be, the bigger person.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times I know I've been guilty of this, stayed much longer than we should have because of all of these logical reasons that my mind told me, that this was a good situation and that I shouldn't be complaining, or I should be more grateful. But my body wasn't feeling that it was right for me, and my body would give me signs that it wasn't right for me. And I want to know, like, why do you think we resist that in-between space so much? What is it about us as a human species? Because we have this logical mind, a lot of times that gets involved. It's conditioning. What do you think about that? Why do we resist it so much?
I think it's because we're really afraid to look at our habitual loneliness. And when we think about creating something better for ourselves, and when we think about changing for the better or anything like this, we automatically have this like, who do you think you are? Why do you think you're better than something? Why do you know what I mean? We immediately get this. And I think it's because of that, good versus evil, that yin, that yang, we're embodied with it so deeply. And I think whatever side we nurture and whatever side we really give attention to, or, feed basically, is what wins. I don't think that we're all doomed to think that way. I really don't. I think it's just whatever voice you're feeding inside, because that's what it is about us humans. We have that conscious of good versus evil, or feel what feels good and what doesn't feel good, or however you want to describe it. You have that duality. It's what makes us human.
Yeah. And
will we
fully ever understand it? Will we?
I don't think so. I think it's so big that we'll never fully encompass it, and that's why it's so important to embody our individual selves, because to constantly try to embody the collective and the idea of oneness is too big. It's too much. We need to embody more that individual, because it's that individual that is making a difference in the day-to-day mundane. Not all of us are pop stars getting, 90 minutes on the TV and having people promote us just because. We're affecting our day-to-day, everyday environment. And I think that's more magical than anything.
I agree. I don't think we'll fully ever understand it. I think there's so much magic that we miss in it. And so what happens when this version of yourself you've been building for decades doesn't fit you any longer? What happens when we've moved through all this and we're sort of in that space where we're like, it just doesn't align with me anymore? And how do we move through that? Because I think within that in itself is a lot of grief. If we even were able to take our brain out of our body and put it to the side, right? The logical brain is over here and it's out of us. Our body's still going to feel that grief, that loss of what once was, but now longer isn't anymore. And we can say that as we move through midlife, because the same thing is happening. I find myself looking back to when my children were younger and so much time was spent having fun. And I miss those times. It's like that grief happens. So, what happens when you spent this life, and this was part of my life at that time, is I identified so much with that. And even though I worked outside the home part-time, I didn't have my own identity. And so when they got to a certain age, it was like, well, who the hell am I now? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do or what I'm going to be. Like, who is Terri-Ann? I had no identity. And I think, as a society, especially women in midlife, where we've built this version of ourselves outside of ourselves again. And now it's shifted and changed. And I think that's why a lot of women, when they enter midlife, are in this space like, screw you, I'm not doing it anymore.
Well, so many of especially as women, so many of our milestones wind up being embarrassing moments instead of like these moments of wisdom, until we're much older. And then we realize, oh my God, all of those things were happening for me, not to me. And man, if I had like the wisdom I had now, what I would have done and how I would have applied it and how I would have, done things a little different maybe, or felt things a little deeper. But I feel like that's like part of the beauty of it, because then you do see these things recycle in your life, right? You have these parts that you die and are reborn again multiple times in your life. And every time you're frozen in that, oh my God, I'm about to change, or like, this isn't working, or I've outgrown this, and it's that little kid inside of you. You have to go back to that part and try to imagine something, like imagine something for yourself. And that is really hard. And as a society, it's very hard for people to imagine anything outside of the next day, because they're in such survival mode. And that is it. I think once you start to get to a certain age, you realize that being in survival mode isn't worth it, because anything can be taken away from you at any time. You could die at any moment, like all these crazy things, you know? So all you really have is this time of here and now. And I think that shift is so fucking painful, because everything becomes boring after that. The same conversations become boring. The same mundane things become boring. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my shit if I have to spend another day like this, you know? And then I think that's where we either like crack and like run away and do crazy shit and spend $1 million and hire hookers. I don't know. People go crazy. Or we go, or we like really dive deep inside of ourselves and be like, what do I want? What do I love? What sets my soul on fire? And how can I bring that into the people I love? How can I bring that into the life I've created? How can I bring that into now? And it's hard, but it's worth it. And it's definitely bulletproof, because you become magnetic to abundance all over.
And let's talk about that place a little, because I think that place where we are really in the midst of it, the mess of it, it's so messy and it's so individualized to us based on our conditioning, our upbringing, you know, what we're going through. But a lot of us view
and
that also as
ignored.
Right. What you've ignored. I'm punishing myself. What did I do to deserve this? We fall into that place. And I don't think that piece, that's the piece I think that people are missing the most, is that we're giving you all the tools. We're talking about all this stuff, but where's the fucking mess in it all? Right? Like, it's like, share with me the mess that you've had, because that's what I want to hear. You know, share with me the mess that you've had and you've experienced, and then share with me how you made it the fuck out of that. Because sometimes, you know, I remember sitting in the bathroom crying and crying. Like, how did my life get so fucked up at this point? Like, how was I this old? And how was I not understanding all of those things that I thought I understood up until this point? And it was this breakdown. And people don't talk about that. And they don't share, like, how fucked up it is to be like 40 years old and questioning everything you've done in your life up to that point.
To the point where it makes you sick. Like, a few years ago, I went through that, and I'm actually going through it right now. Like, things need to shift. And as I'm shifting, literally things become tasteless. They become annoying. They become, it's like you have to like look at these little critters inside of yourself almost. And it's terrible. Like, it is, but it's part of the process. You know what I mean? Like, but things literally become tasteless. Your coffee becomes tasteless. Your food becomes tasteless. Conversations with your partner become tasteless. Like, everything. And you're like, what the hell do I do? I literally could kill myself in a bathtub, or I could run away tomorrow and not give a shit about any of it. Any of it. Like, I literally was at moments where I'm like, I don't care. This is terrible. But I would be like, I could leave my kid, I could leave my dog, I could leave my husband, all of it. Take my bra, leave, and never come back. Like, I had moments like that where I was like, I fucking hate everything.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you, because I've been there.
Like, I wanted to burn it all down. And then, you know, and then you have the guilt and the cycle of guilt. Like, how can you think that way? But really, like, you get to a point where you don't even want to be in your own skin. Like, you hate everyone and everything.
Yes. And that unraveling, I think, is what happens to us when we're in the midst of something so spectacular, is the word I want to use. It is this beautiful chaos that is happening to us at the moment, but we're not looking. We're like, what is wrong with you? You know, you have everything, or why don't you still feel happy? And why are you being called to this place that feels so painful? And I think if people could get into that place of understanding that there's something within that, there's something deep within that space that your soul, your body, your mind is calling to you like, hey, wake the fuck up. You've been on this, I see the vision of the hamster on the wheel. You've been on this hamster wheel over and over and over again. You've done different things, moved to different places, tried different jobs, had different husbands, but still you end up at the same point of this unhappiness. And where do we bridge that unhappiness within ourselves to understand that all those other things outside of us don't mean shit if we don't have that own inner contentment? And what brings us that own inner contentment is different for every one of us.
It is. Yeah, it truly is. Some people can be completely content at home doing nothing. Others need a crowd. Some need a garden. Some need the ocean. Some need themselves, just quiet time, Yeah. But the importance is finding it within yourself. And, you talked earlier about having an individual identity outside of a collective, or when we talk about a collective, it could also be having an individual identity outside of all of your identities, who you are at work, who you are at home, who you are at the grocery store. Like literally there's a different version of you in every mind of every person you've ever interacted with. So it's like, who are you?
So who are you really?
Who are you?
It begs the age-old question, who are you really?
Right. And how many times have you really sat and asked yourself that? I know every moment of deep, dark, ugly darkness and chaos that I've ever experienced in my life, the breakdown brings me to that raw moment. And it's always like centered around some kind of love. And then you start to build up from there. You know what I mean?
And what are you still looking for?
That's how it's been for me anyway.
I agree, because my whole journey up to this point has been about finding love, and it's finding love within myself so that I could help others find love within themselves and understand that what we've been taught, what we've been shown is not outside of us. We can do anything and everything, succeed and fail, but none of those things are going to matter if we don't feel that innate love for within ourselves, because we're building from different areas of ourselves that are missing something. Those are the wounding parts of us that we're building. We're trying to build from this place where we don't ever feel accepted or loved. And so eventually you get to those places. It's great feeling when you're getting there, right? Oh, if I just lose 50 pounds, or if I just move across the country, or if I just had, a better job, things would be better. All of these things, but what you're missing is that peace within you. And I think because the integral part of it is we're trying to skip over the place, which is the most difficult, which is in that breakdown.
Yes. And the patterns you have to break, the cycles you have to see, the people and places you have to let go of, it's all connected in there. And we are like, I don't know if it's because we're such a commercial consumer society, but we do not like to let go of our things. We have like a serious hoarding problem in this society of people. We hoard our emotions, we hoard things, we hoard all kinds of things. And it like we are so afraid to let go and detach. And there is not a moment of detachment and surrender that hasn't led me to greater things. And anyone that I speak to that allows themselves the breakdown, or allows themselves to fully go head on into the chaos with the towel against the flies, they come out on the other side so much better, because they have like a centered knowledge of themselves, and they're not afraid. They're not afraid to have things taken away. They're not afraid to go into something, because they created the intimacy within themselves. They created that mirror of fear, and they looked at it. And once you remove the fear,
and they're not trying to fix it, right? We're not saying in those moments of breakdown, okay, what do I need to fix within myself? We're asking that in that moment of breakdown, you really do observe and feel What is it about that moment? All those other moments that brought you to this moment, number one. And then number two, to be in that uncomfortableness, because I think a key factor for many of us is we don't want to be uncomfortable. If
Yep.
you're going to make me uncomfortable or I'm going to make myself, I'm out. Because I don't want to feel it, because as a society, and definitely my generation, Generation X, that stuff has been pushed down. We don't want to feel nothing,
No.
suppress those emotions. And you don't want to show the world who you really are, because then you'd be vulnerable. And you don't want to be vulnerable because then you'd have to feel. And so, like,
Because vulnerability is weak, and then people know your weakness. And then once someone knows your weakness, they're going to take advantage of you. And it's like, this is a really shitty outlook, but that's literally what was being taught.
That's the conditioning that we have. And I think that's the
Yeah.
conditioning that now we're at this point as a collective, as a society, where we're saying, like, I have all this stuff. I have all these tools, right? There's all these teachers out there. There's all these tools, but I still don't want to sit in that uncomfortableness of what
No.
it is that I'm in at the moment, because I want you to tell me how I'm supposed to get out of it. But
Yeah.
the only one that's going to tell you how you can get out of it is you. I can give you the tools.
And you have to. And, it's like a pet peeve of mine, because so many really hard conversations and so many really hard mirrors are completely bypassed because of people's unrealistic feelings. They want to bypass the truth with their feelings. And that is really a key to going into the darkness, because you have to take a look at yourself, and you have to say to yourself, or the vision of someone else, is this bias because I am afraid to look at the opposite side of how this feels? Or am I afraid to look at the truth in this? Because the truth in it then doesn't validate my feelings. It doesn't align with this persona or this image that I've created for myself. And then, oh gosh, then somebody's going to see me as a fraud, even though I feel like I'm living imposter syndrome right now already. You see, it's just an ugly cycle. It's like, why? You have to look right at it, and you have to go into it, the ugliest parts. Because what you desire is actually what you fear, which is a mind fuck, but it's true. What you desire is literally what you fear.
Think about it. Say that again. What you desire is what you fear.
What you desire is literally what you fear.
And so it's like that 2 steps forward, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I'm going forward to it because I want it, but then I'm taking 2 steps back now because I'm fearful of what that is actually going to mean for me. What does that mean that I'm going to have to do? Who am I going to have to be like? What am I going to have to say? How am I going to have to act? Can I do it? Maybe I can't do it. Maybe I'm a failure.
Exactly.
All of these things that our mind tells us, that tries to keep us safe from putting ourselves in a situation. And I think, individually, we are the only ones that truly know.
Yeah. And the only ones that can break the wall down or bring the wall up. We're the only ones. We have that ability. We've been gifted that. The easiest way you can connect to this whole idea is through sex. My husband and I were talking about this because we've been through, 12 years in the military. We went through different marriage counselings and retreats and stuff, and you learn different things. And one of the biggest things was intimacy within a couple. And it's not just sex, but usually sex is the number one topic because it's what everybody is resentful for and angry for. It's what everyone's craving, or, for the most part. And it's what we can all understand and relate to because we all do it as humans. And they were talking about how, like, the most intimate thing we can do with one another is be naked in these sexual moments, right? But yet we have porn, and we have porn addictions, and we have these fetishes, and we have these taboo things, and we've completely taken the sacredness out of it. We've taken the intimacy out of it. And so now we're ashamed of the actual thing we're desiring. And so we're desiring this connection with our partner, maybe kinkiness or some kind of change in the bedroom or some kind of, desire. But you're like, when you go to talk about that desire, it's embarrassing, it's shameful, you can't do it. But then you can go watch it in porn. And it's like, okay, this is the easiest way to see like the disconnect. Like, why are you not ashamed to go into the dark, put on porn and watch this desire, but you are unable to have an intimate moment with your wife, the real 3D human or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, the real 3D human, because, oh, I could never speak that way. I would be embarrassed or this or that. It's like, see where the disconnect is? Like, that is the intimate part. You should be able to have these weird, what you feel is weird or awkward or shameful or whatever conversations. You're literally naked with that person. And why can't you be naked emotionally? Right? Why can't your conversation be as naked as your bodies?
Because that would mean I'm vulnerable with you, and I'm going to keep a piece of me over here that's tucked away so that you cannot see it fully. Because if you hurt me, I won't be able to recover from that because I've been hurt before.
Yeah, or you reject this part of me, I won't be able to deal with the shame. I won't be able to sit in it.
Man, really, that is insightful, because I think that's another thing, we should have on our show, because I think the topic of sex in general is such a huge eye-opener. And it requires you to be in a vulnerable state because think about it, we all have, and we've grown up differently, right? And so men and women, I'm sure, also have a different view of porn and how it is and how readily available it is today versus how readily available it was, 30 years ago is totally different.
The unrealistic expectations of it, the boundaries that are pushed, it's just nuts.
It is. And because all of these things, and we've grown up with all these different restrictions and beliefs about what that means and what that means. I think I don't feel like somebody can be fully intimate with somebody else fully until they are fully intimate with themselves. And if you can meet that place within you with the love, and because like how many people do say to ourselves, that's stupid, or that's wrong. Why would I even think about something like that? Or why does that turn me on?
Right. Why does this turn me on? Why is this interesting? Like, and some people are afraid to even ask themselves that. And it's like, sex is the most basic, simple human thing we can talk about, and yet it's still so hard to talk about.
And the thing you desire the most is what you fear the most, because I want to be vulnerable.
Right.
Because I can tell you how many men want to be vulnerable. It's not that they don't want to be vulnerable. They want to be vulnerable. But they're so fearful of that place inside them where either they'll be judged for it. And you know, women are the same way. It's like, if a woman ups and leaves her children, she's also going to be judged. It's like, this is something that.
But you can understand it too.
Yes. I definitely can.
Exactly. So it's like, what you desire is what you fear.
Goes back to it. It's like, look at these things. You heard it here first, people. Just know what you desire is actually what you fear. And until you can find that intimate part within yourselves and allow yourself to be changed by it, because once you find that intimacy within ourselves, right? What are we always looking for? We're always looking for something outside of us. Once we find it within ourselves, we're no longer looking for it outside of us. And I guess that begs the question, like, are you then still searching for things to attain?
Yeah, or validation outside of yourself. And if you collect these things or you obtain these things, then it is the validation that you don't believe within yourself. That these items or these experiences or these places are the validation for you.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to be talking about that messy piece inside of you that keeps us into this space of not being able to go into intimacy. I think what I want to explore more as you and I go forward is this place of, why is it so deeply entrenched in us that we are in a moment of beautiful chaos, but we can't seem to connect with that intimate part of us that understands so deeply what those moments are trying to teach us? And then how do we move through that then? Because I think, and I don't know, because I think there's a lot we still don't understand, and will we ever fully understand it being human? I don't know.
I think that we will understand it to whatever capacity we can understand ourselves. So the deeper we can go within ourselves, the deeper experiences are going to be. But I also agree with you. Like, I think it's something so entrenched in us and so embedded in our DNA. And like every example of rebellion, every example of open heart, every example of martyr, is blown up to us as if it's like a bad thing, or
Mhm.
if as being different is a bad thing, or standing out is a bad thing, and you have to think like of generations of slaves and all kinds of things. Like, this is all embodied in our DNA. And I think that every time we get to these points of absolute freedom and feeling that ultimate joy and encompassing that, something within us is like, nope, push that right back down. That's not safe. And we have to break through that, because it is so safe to be loved. It's so safe to be so in love with your life and what you create. Like, that is the ultimate goal,
And even
and
if
we
that
shouldn't be
is
afraid.
being a stay-at-home mom and cleaning your house and taking care of your children, a very important job that many of us don't believe is a job. I
Yeah.
mean, I spent many years caring for my children, and I think there was no greater job that I could have done, at that time, that was more important than that. And I think it's about that probably with anything in our life, whatever job that we're doing, or wherever we are in our life, that we're looking at these things and saying, am I making a difference? Am I happy? Am I happy? Am I making a difference within myself? Am I happy within myself? Am I bringing joy to others?
Am I
It doesn't.
evolving into happy? Am I evolving into joy?
Mhm.
Well, I say all the time that the truest rebellion is just the embodiment of spirit, and that's just whatever that is for you. Because anytime that you're radiating on a frequency of complete joy and happiness and unconditional love, you are affecting the environment.
Mhm.
You're affecting everything around you. And that should always be your goal, no matter what it is. Like, if that's cleaning cigarette butts, don't half ass it. Clean them all up. It's bettering something. You know what I mean? Any
Mhm.
job you're doing, just don't half ass it. Put your heart into it, put your love into it. That's what it means. It doesn't mean put all your energy and burn yourself out. No, it means love what you do, every single thing you do. Leave it better than how you got it. And if every single person applies that to every single part of their life, imagine what the world would look like.
Absolutely. I talk about that all the time. Keegan, I want to thank you for joining me today. And I want to ask everyone watching and you, what if we sort of reframe what we believe is happening to us at the time? And it's not happening to me, but it's happening for me. And what if this uncertainty that I'm feeling, that I'm lost or, failing, isn't that, but it's actually evidence that I'm becoming something. And there's this version of me waiting on the other side. Is it
Proof of
really
success.
worth? Yes. Is it really worth it to be uncomfortable now so that I can take those steps to meet her at where she is, so I can feel that love and understanding from within myself, on an even stronger level than I do now? And so I thank you for joining me today. As always, it's been insightful and wonderful and cheerful being in your presence.
Thank you for having me. Until the next time.
Yes, until the next time.